I'm Muffy Lavens, and I am joined by two cast members from Dear Evan Hansen, which will be playing at the Van Wezel November 1st and 2nd. McKenna and Gabriel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
having
having
us.
us. Yeah.
Yes, so why don't we dive right into it? If I am someone who's never seen Dear Evan Hansen before, what can I expect from this show?
Yeah.
I would say, at large, Dear Evan Hansen is about connection and how we all have our own mental struggles that we're all sitting on, and we use social media in ways in which we connect online to hide those parts of us and disguise and deceive people. And the show is about a boy named Evan who is going through that exact struggle and uses social media to kind of navigate that struggle with his fellow people at school and his parents and people in his community.
So can you talk about what the music does for the storyline and how it's so impactful for this show?
Yeah. Benj, Pasek, and Justin Paul they are now EGOT winners, so Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony, and this is a recent thing. But besides Dear Evan Hansen, they're best well known for La La Land as well as The Greatest Showman. But their music is just it's really a privilege just to sing it and hear it every night. And we have a band in the show, so we have live music every time, and um, just hearing it every night is it's really a gift. And to sing it is even crazier. Like I think McKenna and I were talking about this when we first booked the show. Like we respectively were in our own cars just jamming into the soundtrack for this show. And even now, like getting to sing it, we still say, I love this part, or we
Mhm.
just catch each other singing tunes from the show too.
Yeah, I would also say that like before I got the chance to see Dear Evan Hansen for the first time, when I was in middle school or high school, um, I would just listen to the soundtrack, and that's all that I had to go off of, and that's like what made me love the show. And then I got to see it, and I got to hear the dialogue out loud and hear Stephen Levinson's book, and I was like, oh my God, this is such like a well-rounded show because it has such an amazing script, but it also has an amazing score, which I think most people their experience with the show is purely through the music.
Mhm.
And yeah, as somebody who's loved it for so long, getting to sing it every night, I don't think I'll ever get sick of it. And I think it's one of the things that makes the show so emotional because it is so well written.
Yeah, I love listening to the soundtrack too. I have like a Broadway playlist on my Spotify, and
Yes.
there are so many songs from this show in there because it is so exciting and inspiring and always a great hit.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about your roles in the show and what we can expect to see when you come to Sarasota?
McKenna.
Yeah, so I play Alana Beck. I think that both of us, our characters kind of serve to like alleviate some of the tension in the show and some of the heightened emotions. But I will say that Alana's comedy is actually like a manifestation of her own anxiety. I
Mhm.
always like to say that like Alana, Jared, and Evan are just like the same person in different fonts because they're all dealing with anxiety. It just manifests differently in the show. And so with Evan, it's very blatantly obvious. And then with the two of us, our the ways in which our comedy is written is actually just our anxiety. And a big thing with Alana's humor is that like she is known for being super ambitious and like being a part of every club and being the president of everything and having a stacked resume, top of her class. And she's always like ahead of everybody in a conversation. So she's always jumping to the next thing, even when it's not the subject matter of the conversation. Which is what is a part of the comedy that I love to play because I just think I know so many people like her and went to school with a lot of people like her. And so getting to do that as someone who's not like that has always been very fun. But yeah, she's a huge overachiever, but she also does struggle with her own anxiety and mental illness.
So being on tour creates kind of this unique camaraderie among the cast. What has it been like to get to know your fellow cast members, and how does that impact what you do on stage every night?
But since we're so small, we just kind of mesh together really quickly. And we, with the adults in our cast, they treat us like we are also at the same like caliber, which I never really like. It was just nice because in the past with adults that like I've worked with when I was in high school or doing child theater. Like they were, um, they saw it more as a job, but with the people that we work with, they genuinely care about us and they come to us when we really need it. And it's really fun just to like something as mundane as traveling in like a tour bus together is just so much fun because we could like yell at each other from across the bus and be like, hey, like how's this going? How's that going? And it's just no problem. It feels so seamless and genuinely do feel like we are cared for and getting looked out for. And like with it being so small and us being on stage, like there have been a couple times that like a joke kind of came out funny or somebody said something wrong and we just look at each other and try so hard not to laugh. And I think it just shows that we are yeah, like we do mesh together really well and that we care about each other and we love being around each other.
I love that. And that's so great for a show like this because that theme carries on stage and off stage, it sounds like. Is there anything you'd like to share with Sarasota before you arrive here and what they should know about the show?
Oh my gosh.
Mm,
Get ready to get obsessed with the music, I think is a big one. And also to check in with yourself. That's the big one, I feel like to always check in with yourself and also to make sure that the people you love and care for are also are getting looked out for as well. Yeah.
yeah. I would also say like as much as you can, like come into the show blind. I
Totally.
think it's a great show to experience with not really knowing what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, Even if you do already know the music, I don't even think a lot of the music kind of shows what's actually happening in the story, which was part of why the first time I saw Dear Evan Hansen made it so like visceral because I had no idea what was happening. Um, yeah, so I would say come in blind, but then also bring tissues. So
Totally.
that's all I'm gonna say about
Yeah.
that.
When we were
Um,
doing our last couple shows in Houston, we had a lot of kids who came to the show who said it was their first theater experience. And every time that they'd tell that to us at the stage door, I would say this is such a great breakthrough like gateway musical to start off because it's funny, it's dramatic, the music is gorgeous, the script is written beautifully, and I think it's like a great leaping off point for people who want to get into theater or just want to have a nice experience. Like the show is written again so extremely well. I can't shut up about it. So it does a good job of really gripping you so fast, and I think that's perfect for somebody who's never gotten into musicals before.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
You will be fine.